Hey everyone, it's Alison Heikkila. Thank you so much for joining me. I have been playing with my alcohol inks a little bit more often lately, and I'm really loving it, so I thought we'd do another alcohol ink card today. So I've got Aquamarine and Foundry. This is one of the alloys, so it's metallic. And I've got this lined corners embossing folder. This is one of my favorite embossing folders that has come out this year. This is from Spellbinders. It's really big, so you have a lot of options with where you place your panel to get embossed, so you can have lots of different looks. And I thought that we would use the holiday sayings from Concord and Ninth. This is the one that we're going to use. It says peace. This is what they look like on the back. It's a really nice, clean and simple die set that is perfect for any holiday card. And I'm going to try to keep my aquamarine sort of on the paler side because I want it to be very serene. I don't want it to be super bold. So we're going to see how this goes. I'm going to move these over for now. I have a piece of Jot poster board paper from Dollar Tree. This is my preferred paper to use when I'm playing with alcohol inks. And I think what I'm going to do, I've got this old makeup container. I'm going to put this on top because I want to raise it up so that I don't get any lines on the side of ink buildup. I often forget to do this, but we're gonna do it today. So I've got alcohol blending solution and my little marker ink blower tool. You can't get this anymore. At least you can't from the places that I've seen. It's used to put a marker in here and it turns it into an airbrush, but I will link the actual air blower tool that Ranger has available now. It's the same concept, just minus this, and the bulb is bigger. I just don't have that, and this works perfectly fine. So if you need one, I'll have that linked below. Now, I am going to start by, I'm going to start by opening up my aquamarine. And I'm going to give my alloy a bit of a shake. We want to make sure that it mixes really well. You hear the little balls moving around in there? That's how you know that you are really mixing it. You want to lay it down on its side for a couple of minutes before you start to work with it, and then you can shake it up a little easier. If you have it standing upright for storage, just lay it down first. All right, that's pretty good. I'm not going to uncap that just yet. I am going to add my blending solution here. I'm going to be generous with that. And then I'm going to start to add my aquamarine. Probably a little bit more than I should have because I want to keep it pale, but that's all right. And now we're going to add the alloy. I'm going to close that back up and lay it down, and we're going to start to move this color back and forth. Whoop! Pushing a little too hard with my air blower tool. See how there's buildup on the side here? I want it to spill off so that I don't have any harsh edges. I added a lot of blending solution because, again, I want to really get this color to move because I want it to be pretty light. Blending solution does not lighten the color. It keeps it true. Isopropyl alcohol, on the other hand, is going to lighten the color. So I added a bit of that. We're still going to move this around a bit. I'm actually pretty happy with how this looks. You can always add more blending solution if you need to, but we're going to try, I don't like that. All right, we'll put a little bit here and get that to move. Just going back and forth with the air so that it creates kind of a wispy look. I think that that's pretty cool. Now we're going to take the isopropyl again, and I'm just going to add a few drops here and there to get kind of a cell kind of effect. It's looking pretty nice. Look at that shine. Isn't that pretty? Okay, I'm going to let this dry, and then we'll move on. Because I tend to overdo my blending solution, I often have like a stickiness left over after everything is dry. It kind of stays tacky. So there's a couple of ways to remedy that. One of them is to use an anti-static powder tool, like what you would use before you use embossing powder, and you can rub that over the top, and then that will remove the stick. But my preferred method is to use Deco foil. So I have the Opal Deco foil here. This is super subtle. Usually I go for something loud and really bright and shiny, but I want to keep this kind of mellow and calm. So I'm going to just place this on the top. We might not even see anything with this. I'm kind of just experimenting because, you know, that's what I love to do. And I'm going to just rub this or burnish this with my fingers. You can use a bone folder if it hurts to burnish it with your fingers over the top wherever it could potentially be sticky. So basically the whole panel. And just keep moving it around and see if you get any of that foil to transfer. There's just a little bit over here. You see that? It's super subtle. But again, I really didn't want to overdo it. And I don't like just touching it with my finger because then I have a fingerprint there. So it's better, in my opinion, to just go in directly with the foil that you want and just check it out that way. If nothing comes off, then that's okay. You can save that piece and use it another time. I will mention that there is a bit of alcohol ink transfer that could happen. So if you've got like a red and orange panel like this, and then you go in with this guy and it's got the blue, you're going to probably transfer some blue. So just keep that in mind. You can always cut separate pieces for separate color families or throw away your scraps when you're done. But there's just a little bit here and there. But at least I know that my panel is not sticky anymore. Now we're going to figure out where we're going to put our panel in our embossing folder. And I've got a couple of suggestions for that. Obviously, you can take it like this and move it around and play with it that way. But sometimes that can be a little bit tricky because then things shift. Another option is to take something like this. This is a frame that my son 3D printed for me. Originally, I was just using a piece of heavyweight cardboard, and I just cut a frame where the interior was 4 by 5 1/4, because then when I put it on an A2 size card, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, I have a nice 1/8 of an inch border going around the edge. So we can just kind of figure out where we want this to land and play with it like this. See, you can get stripes this way. It doesn't even look like there's much of a bend, only a little bit here. You can have this centrally located, but that's not really my jam. I'm thinking that I want to kind of go with it like this, and we can have our piece over here. Unless we go that way. If I do it like this and then flip it, the piece would go here. I like that. That's what we're going to do. I like it in this orientation. So we're going to place this here like so. Kind of, sort of. Making sure that it's completely in the folder. You don't want to have any of it hanging out. And I'm going to run this through my die cut machine. Let's take a look. Oh, look at that. Now, there is a lot of alcohol ink transfer. That is not a problem. I'm going to just take my isopropyl alcohol and spray it in here. And then we're going to just wipe it away. All gone, perfectly clean, no worries. Just make sure that when you're working with alcohol ink, especially if you have some type of lung issue like I have asthma, you're working in a well-ventilated area. But you can see that that's perfectly clean now. Okay, back to the panel. Look at how pretty that is. I love that. Now, we have a couple of options here. So we could either leave it as is, or we could take some sanding paper or a sand block like this. You can get these at nail salons. This happens to be from a company called Coordinations. But you can get them at like anywhere you get nail polish. They're just going to probably be like a rectangular white block. But if we sand the top of this, that dimension is going to stand out a bit. So let's do a little bit. I don't want to go too crazy because I really do like the way this turned out. And you don't want to push too hard. This is going to create dust. So again, if you've got lung issues, just work in a well-ventilated area and be sure to, I don't know if you can see that dust there. Make sure that you dispose of that so you don't have it floating in the air. subtle, but it brings it out a little bit. I just don't want to go too heavy. Can you see the line there? I like it. Okay, I'm going to clean this up and then we'll die cut our sentiment. So there's the shadow layer and then there's the top layer. And I knew right away that I wanted the shadow layer to be made of vellum because then you can still kind of see what's happening underneath. But then I was going back and forth with what I wanted to do for the top layer. I have this. This is really old cardstock, and it's so pretty because it shimmers, but I feel like the pattern's a little too busy. Then I thought, well, maybe I'll just go with white cardstock, but it's too white versus the color of the jot paper, which has got kind of a yellow undertone. So I decided, you know what? Why not just use more of the jot paper and see how that looks? Because it's the same paper, so the color is going to look the same. So it won't have a shine, but it'll have a bit of a sheen to it. There's a bit of a difference there, right? Okay, so I'm going to cut these out, and then we are going to adhere them together and then put them on our card. This here, like so. See, it's good to save your scraps because now I can use it, right? All right, I'm going to get these cut out. I hit the wrong button on my camera at some point, and I'm not exactly sure at the moment when, but just to reiterate, because I think I cut myself off, I added 1-inch foam tape to the back of my panel to give it stability, help it to lay flat when we attach it to our card base, and just give it a little bit of a loft so it has a nice presentation. So I'm using 1-inch foam tape from scrapbook.com, which I love so much, and yeah, I think we're all caught up now. I have no idea when I actually stopped recording before, but we'll see. It happens, right? But you didn't miss anything important, which is good. Okay. Now we're going to apply this to our base. I should stand up to do this part so that we make sure that we get it nice and centered. Ish. Centered-ish. That's not centered at all. This is the tricky part. A lot of people will put liquid adhesive on their foam tape when they're adding a piece like this to their card base, so that this way they have some wiggle time, movability time. But I like to live on the edge. Okay, so now we've got that. It looks amazing. I'm going to add some glue here. Place that down. I really think that we need just a few sequins. So I'm going to put a heavy block on top and I'll grab some sequins. I thought I was going to use a white sequin, but the whites weren't quite right. So I decided instead to go with Luminous Poolside from A Colorful Life Designs. Such a pretty color. And we are going to add a few of these to our card here. And one of the other nice things about having the sentiment raised up a bit is we can tuck them in a little. And I love that look. It ties everything together in such a nice way, because they're not just free floating all the time, right? They're connected to this sentiment, and I think that it really helps ground everything a bit. I think that's it. I think that's all I want to do. Maybe move it over a little. Yeah. Okay, so we are now going to take our pokey tool in our right hand and our glue in our right hand, because I am right-handed. If you're left-handed, do it the opposite way. Jewel picker in the left hand, and now we're going to pick up the sequin, add a little dot of glue, slide this underneath, and use the jewel picker, the pokey tool to get it off of the jewel picker. Keep in mind that you know, you've got these lines here from the embossing folder. So you're going to want to try to get that sequence to lay in a spot where it will actually have the glue touching it. So you don't want to put it in between the channels, right? Because the sequin probably won't get the glue on it then. There we go. That, my friends, is our card for today. I think that's really lovely. And you do not need to use this for a holiday card. This can be a sympathy card. This can be for somebody that's just going through a tough time. I love this embossing folder. It really like evokes emotion. I don't know. Call me crazy. Don't call me crazy. I already know I am. But I think it's just lovely, and it's really great for encouragement cards and things like that. It's got good vibes. You know, it's got good vibes. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you give some of these techniques a try. I will be back very soon with another video. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Be well, stay safe. Peace out.